crawling and the other children are crawling and they're the same age,
The obvious.
that's obvious.
Yes.
There's definitely some neurological damage there, and they definitely are not developing for some reason, so you need to get that checked out. There's other things, like if you notice that the child's eye is lazy or drooping for any particular reason, that is also an assault on their neurological and their brain stem and their body. I could go into a slew of other things, but typically the parents should be able to tell if they have other kids, if this kid is just not reacting to its environment, it's not as social, it's not like the other kids. You're going to notice. The crawling was one, the sitting up, that's another one. If they don't hear you as well.
Yes.
If your kid is not startled when you slam the door, that is a sign that it's not developing neurologically, and you should absolutely get it checked out. Now later on, if it's not an infant or a toddler, you can look at children that can't sit still. It's pretty obvious. I know that ADHD and ADD is a little bit overdiagnosed these days, but absolutely, if your child is not getting good grades and has a problem concentrating, they may have those conditions, but let's talk about what we talked about earlier and how you should approach it. You don't throw some drugs at the kid and try to make them sit down and concentrate. Really, really try to help them out in diet and nutrition and letting their body heal so they can actually grow and develop like they should be.
Yeah, a few minutes ago, I'm sorry, were you going to say something else?
I was just going to say the key is following the best way to tell and to know if vaccines could be an issue. Is to look at pictures before, because everybody has pictures of their kids, right? Okay, so everybody has pictures. You look at pictures before the vaccines and look at pictures after the vaccines. You will see a distinct difference, or videos even better. You will see a huge difference in the way your child acts before and after, if anything is called neurological damage. And so these vaccines, maybe the first one didn't, maybe the second one didn't, but we've seen patients whose kids in the beginning were fine, the first one was fine, the second one was fine, and then bam, that one did it. And they can tell distinctly from the video cameras, videotapes to the next, exactly the next day, that there was a difference. Yeah.
It's horrifying. Now, I really want to capitalize, and I think you guys are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so excited that you're here because our parents, they do need this information, because a lot of parents are in denial. A lot of parents are in denial, and then you're not sure where to go. So we have, probably 8 minutes left. Tell us a little bit about your practice and you stated that you would share the latter half. I mean, I'm going to turn it over to you, and any additional information that you'd like to share that you think is significant, please.
Okay, and so in our practice, we base everything on making sure that your body's functioning at 100%, and then getting rid of any interference to the body. So that interference can be straight neurological physical damage.
And thanks for bringing a visual.
Your spine here, you want your spine to be in a certain alignment. This is the first thing in any chiropractic office that you should check, and any chiropractor usually will check, is the spine. And so you want to have a certain alignment, 3 curves from the side and a straight from the front and back. And as long as it's in alignment, you're going to be functioning, you're going to be healing at 100%, because there's no damage to the nervous system. Okay, so God put an amazing healing power in your brain, and for your body to function, for your heart to beat, lungs to breathe, for any organ in your body to function, your brain has to tell it to, and it has to get that information out these nerves to those organs. So if I was to cut the nerve, say, to your heart, what happens to your heart? Yeah, it stops, right? And ultimately you die. But what if I just went and I squeezed the nerve to your heart? Is your heart going to get healthy or sick?
Exactly.
Okay, and so the first thing we're going to look at is to make sure that you have this curve in your spine. And if there's any loss of it or any damage to the spine, we're going to work to correct that. And so with kids with the things that we're talking about today, specifically, we always see a lot of issues in this upper part of the neck, because that deals with your immune system. It's your brain stem, and that's what subconsciously controls your entire body. Okay? And so what we do is we go in, and parents are sometimes saying, well, I don't want a chiropractic on my kids, that's crazy.
I think we're destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yeah, it is. It's lack of knowledge. But the reality of it is we have patients that call us to adjust their baby the day after they're born. And we don't go in and torque their neck. It's a simple tapping, and it puts things back in place. Okay, and so when we do that, their body's allowed to heal. And so the very first thing we're going to look at is their spine and their nervous system. Get rid of any interference to that, and then go from there. And so when that happens, when their body, and that's when it comes to asthma, I'm sorry, ADD, ADHD, all those things, it's amazing when you adjust a kid with ADD because they're on the table jumping around, moving around. You finally get them to sit still for a second, you adjust them, and they're just like walking around.
Wow.
It's
It
a
just
whole
calms
other
them
world.
down.
Amazing.
And so their nervous system is just free to function properly, and their body can heal itself. And then on top of that, you want to get rid of any toxicities in their body, such as from vaccines. So there's certain detox ways of doing that. And then following that up, correct nutrition. So that's huge.
Yes.
If you have kids that are diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and they eat macaroni and cheese or all these dyes, chemicals, all those things, then their body's not going to function, and that's going to be an interference to this as well.
Yes.
And so you want to do all those things, exercise as well. But there's one last thing I want to touch on. This is really big, just to give good tips on what parents can do when it comes to foods and things like that, because I know it's like, oh, I can't eat anything, and what are my kids going to do? The biggest things when it comes to these deals is that you want to stay away from is dairy products. So when it comes to the pasteurization of our milk, it's literally broken the milk down so bad that it goes into the system and it has your body doesn't understand it. So the kid you get an allergy to it. Your body reacts to it. And so that's one of the number one allergens. And whether you think, I don't mean an allergen like your skin breaks out. You might not even notice it. I guarantee you they're having an allergen to it because their body can't understand it. The second thing is this gluten-free. We all have heard gluten-free is the big phase now. But the wheat products are so broken down in the refined grains, and they're just causing that huge immune system reaction. And the main final thing is sugar. And fruit, and the other thing is 100% juice. That has as much sugar as a Pepsi.
Yes.
So it really does. So juice is no better than a Pepsi. It just has some more nutrients in it. So just be very conscious reading labels, not just looking at sugar, but look at the ingredients and make sure they don't have chemicals. If you can't read it, don't eat it. That's the best way to go.
Excellent, excellent.
If it's not a word, if it's not a God food, don't eat it. That's the best. That's the best concept.
And I think it's very, very impressive, the information that you've shared. Thank you. If you have one final tip that you'd like to give, we got about a minute left here to take. Just what would you share with the parent? Just one final thought. And whoever would like to go.
Children are amazing. You just have to let them grow and become themselves. So don't try to interfere and just watch out for them. You know, if they get sick, just let them fight the disease, you know. If your child has a fever, it has a fever for a reason, because it's fighting off something. So let it sleep, let it fight that fever, and it will be as healthy as can be.
Thank you guys for your time. I mean, you're just amazing. I mean, it's obvious that you're very compassionate about what you do.
Right.
And I hope that you will come back again. Thank you. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And remember that you are not alone.